Hi, my name is Augustin. I am a sound designer and music composer. I've downloaded a sample project from the Epic Game Store marketplace called Cropout. My goal was to create new ambient soundscapes and music and implement them in Unreal 5 using Wwise. Cropout is a simple top-down RTS game where you play little farmers and builders who live on small islands. Because of the archipelago aesthetic of the game, I imagined that the game could take place somewhere on the Pacific Ocean. So I took a little bit of inspiration from the music and landscapes of Polynesia and the Pacific Isles. Of course, this is not what the graphics imply, but I just wanted to give myself a little challenge. In general, my focus was on implementation and the game mechanics. Now, let me show you. First of all, I wanted to create an ambience that changes depending on the vertical position of the camera. The idea was to have more sounds of nature, birds, and life the closer you get to the ground, and more wind the higher you go. To do this, I needed the value that gave me the position of the camera compared to the ground. In Player's Blueprint, I created a print string and connected this value. It combines the position of the camera and the spring arm. I tested it in-game to see if it was working. Also, remember to note the minimum and the maximum values that shows in-game. Then removed the print string and connected an RTPC node. In Wwise, I created an RTPC and copied the values I've noted before. I called the game parameter camera distance, saved it, and moved on to the next phase. I had to design two 4-minute loop ambient sounds, one for the ground and one for the sky. I won't dive too deeply into the creative process in Nuendo because it's not the focus here. Back in Wwise, I've created a blend container with the two sequence containers, ground and sky. Then, I edited the blend track by setting up the crossfade and added a low-pass filter in the highest zone of the zoom. You will see why later. To give a little bit more detail to the overall ambience, I added another blend container called Seagulls. I noticed the birds flying in circles in the game and I wanted to do something for them. So, I created a random container with 5 different seagull sounds and some silences, so it doesn't always play. Changed the positioning parameter to position plus orientation, and set up different 3D position automations. Then, in the blend track, using 2 other silences, I configured it so that they only trigger at a certain altitude. Once this was done, I created an event, added it to the sound bank, and clicked Generate All. In Unreal, I only needed to add the AK event. First, I referenced the AK game parameter into the RTPC node, and then posted the event when event begin play. Let's see if it worked. The second mechanic I wanted to add concerns the town center. It's the main building where all the resources are gathered: food, wood, stone. So my idea was to add 3 different activities ambiances. One for cooking, one for woodwork, and one for masonry. I've also added a conch shell horn sound that will be triggered every 5 minutes. The idea was that it would simulate a day cycle and also allow the player to keep track of their time spent in game. Once I had finished designing all the sounds, I created a blend container in Wwise with 2 playlist containers, one for the activities and one for the horn sound. For the activities, I created this hierarchy. Each activity, so cooking, masonry, or woodwork, contains a random container with the ambience and the silence inside. Each silence lasts between 5 and 25 seconds. Create event, save in Sandbank, and generate. In Unreal, I found the town center blueprint, added a new component to the mesh called AK component, and under AK event tab, I assigned the new event to it. To finish, I just had to tweak the attenuation scaling factor and post the associated event when event begin play. And it was ready. The final mechanic I wanted to implement in the game was the evolution of music based on the number of villagers. The more villagers there are, the bigger the choir is in the music and the louder the drums are. In the game mode blueprint, I found the villager count variable. I've used it to set up 3 different states. One for small population, between 0 and 5 villagers. One for medium population, 5 to 7. And one for large population, 7 and up. When I finished building my nodes in the blueprint, I wrote all the music in Nuendo, recording a 4-voice choir, string instruments and some percussion to create peaceful and calm music for the game. Back in Wwise, I created a music switch container with 3 music playlist containers. One for small, one for medium, and one for large populations. Each music playlist contains 2 music segments, one with 4 bars of chord progressions, and the other with only 1 bar of bridge. I transform each music track into random step tracks to add more variation. One with 4 versions of the choir and string instruments, one with 3 versions of electronic drums, one with 3 variations of percussions. Like I said earlier, the small population is softer with only light percussion and soprano plus alto voices humming. Medium is soprano, alto, and tenor singing with percussion. And large population is the 4 voices singing plus a color voice and all percussion. Note that every music playlist is built like this. After that, I created transitions between each music playlist, and I tested it within the transport control switching states. I also added a voice volume automation using the camera distance RTPC to the music switch container. The goal was to give some space to the ambience while being close to the ground, to enable the player to contemplate the little village in peace while enjoying the music. Then I created an event and generated the sound banks. Back in the blueprint, I only needed to assign the state values to each state node and post the event on event begin play. Now, let's see how it sounds in the game. Outside the music switch container, I also added 3 other music playlists: the Fail, Victory, and Menu Music. I posted the Menu Music event on the Event Begin Play of the main menu blueprint. For the fail and victory music, I've connected their respective post-events on the fail and victory text windows after the stop all node. Let me show you now what it does. This is it. I hope you liked it. Do not hesitate to add a comment if there is an easier way to do something or if you spot any errors. This was my own take on the music and sound design of the game Cropout. Thanks for watching.